Here we have Jeff Gromest's R32 GTR in a beautiful spark silver today. We're going to be installing our fuel pump hardwire kit on this car.
Hi guys, how you doing today? It's Hunter and Mike over at 4 People Racing. Got Mike behind the camera for you. Today we're basically just going to show you guys how to install our hardwire fuel pump relay for the R32 Skylines. For this kit you're going to need a 10mm socket. We have a 1/4 inch ratchet, also a 10mm wrench we have as well. You're also going to need some sort of prying material or some sort of prying tool. You could use a 1/2 inch wrench for you. You could even use like a broomstick if you have one laying around, or even if you have a massive pry bar, that'll help you as well. That's for taking the back seats out. Also, we have a flathead screwdriver, Phillips head screwdriver, and then if you do have one of these interior tools, these are going to come in very handy for you. Also, needle nose plier just in case you need that for the interior clips as well. Those could be a pain. Also, you will need some sort of knife or a razor blade for you. But yeah, this is going to be our kit for you. We're going to show you how simple and easy it is to install it for you today, and here we go.
Alright guys, first things first, before you get started working on your car, we will be working with electricity, so you want to go in, pop your hood, grab your 10mm, and just disconnect your battery.
Then you just want to pop your negative terminal off here, and there you are. Move that to the side. And now we're disconnected. Alright you guys, so we're going to want to come back to the back of the trunk here for you. Normally on most or all GTRs are going to have little clips in these little spots here. You're just going to pop those clips out. They're usually just Phillips heads. Take this little back panel off. You can see we have the Altezza pump here. We're actually going to be using these two both to actually mount our bracket for you as well. We'll get to that though when we actually install this relay. Then you're going to want to actually move this to the side for you. Move the carpeting over. You're going to have this cardboard or wooden or whatever this thing is right here. Then we're going to want to grab our flathead, Phillips actually. Take these screws off for you so we can expose the actual fuel hat. Set these aside, don't want to lose these. Now once we have that off, you're just going to pop this up right here. You're going to see that we actually have the fuel hat here, and then you have these two connectors right here. The only one you're going to want to disconnect is this one right here for you. Just push the tab down. Don't want to pull on the wires themselves, otherwise you will actually depin these, so be careful. Now that we have that up, we're just going to set this aside for you, and then we're going to move on to the next step. Alright you guys, before we move on with this installation, we're just going to explain to you how this actual kit here is actually going to benefit you. It's a full plug-and-play kit. It's basically a constant power to your fuel pump when you have the ignition key on. It's going to completely bypass your fuel control module. This kit is fully reversible. If you wanted to go back to your factory way, you could go back to your factory way. There's no splicing, there's nothing like that. It's all complete plug and play. Super simple, super easy. And we're just going to show you how it goes. Alright you guys, next up you're going to do for you, you're going to take these nuts off right here that are holding this bracket up. And those will just come right off. Set these aside, you don't want to lose these. And we're going to go ahead and come over here, we're going to grab our relay, and we're just going to mount this relay for now. Goes on this nut, this stud right here for you.
Take note, the relay is mounted on the left stud.
And there we are. Now we're gonna leave that there for now. We're gonna move on to the next step for you. All right, guys, so first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take these Phillips head interior pieces out here for this trim. There's going to be 5 of these little screws. These little screws right here, they are kind of a little pain sometimes. You can't use the weight of the screwdriver, otherwise they will fall back down. So you kind of want to just get it started a little bit. Either a flathead or some sort of like interior tool that we were showing you earlier. You want to kind of keep it from dropping itself back down from the weight of the screwdriver, and then you'll see that it is much easier to actually get these screws out. And once you get these screws out, you want to make sure you hold on to these, don't lose these, and then it should just come right out just like that. Alright, you guys, so now that we have this actual side piece off, we're going to work our way into the actual kick box here, and there's going to be 10 mil bolt right here holding it in, and then there should be a clip on the back of the firewall, which actually we don't have a clip on ours, unfortunately, so we're just going to take this 10 mil out. Alright, so now that 10 mil's out, we're actually going to leave this and set it on the side, and we'll keep it up here just so we don't lose that. And this actually should just pop off right off for us. Alright, you guys, so when you get the bolt and the 2 clips out, this panel will actually come right out for you. Here, I'll go ahead and show you real quick for you where I'm talking about on the firewall. There's going to be one right there for you. There's going to be one right here. There's going to be a bolt holding it in right here. So when you get those 2 pins out and the bolt, this panel should just pop right off for you. You're going to want to take that off, you're going to want to set that aside for you. Alright, you guys, now that we've actually taken these plastic trims off, we're going to move to the back seat. You're going to take either this 1/2-inch ratchet we have here, or even the broomstick cut the size for you, or anything you can get underneath there to actually pry these back seat up if they actually don't come out when you try and tug on them real nice. But all you're going to want to do is just get it up underneath there, and you're just going to hold this, Mike.
On swift pull.
As you can see, these back seats are actually giving us a hard time for us. And there it is.
There you go.
And there it is. Now the back seat's actually going to be taken out here for us. You might need to lean your seats forward.
I need to pop the other side.
You're going to need to pop the other seat side off. There we are.
Just watch your seat belts.
Watch your seat belts for you. Push them on through. There you are. And now the back seat's out. You can go ahead and get this out of the way. And then we're just gonna work our way into here. Now we've actually got to take these back seats off, which are held on by these little bolts right here. There's one on that side. There's one on this side. Both 10 mils. Just gonna go back and grab our 10 mil. Pass me the 10 mil, Mike. We're just gonna be right here for you. Just gotta take these all the way out. And there we are. Don't want to lose these either, so we're going to place these right here for us. And then we'll just move on our way back to the other side here. Do the same thing for this side. Alright, now that we have the back seats off, You're gonna have to use a little force to push them upwards to get these off, and we can just slide the back seat right out. Set that aside. And then we're gonna have this like interior insulation here. Just gonna fold this back, and this is gonna be our little peephole that we're gonna run the power wire through. And like I said, it's gonna come all the way down, make its way underneath the carpet, tuck it real nice, and then it's gonna go right up the front. And that's how we're gonna do it. All right, you guys, so you're gonna actually take these seatbelt brackets off. These little plastic covers, these come off, and then a nice 14 mil. You should take that off. Didn't mention that at the beginning, but you are gonna need this for you. Just because you are gonna need this to actually get underneath the carpet to run your wire for you. So we'll just take these off. And there's the one for you. I'll grab the other one. Now, if you do have power tools, you can use power tools, but we're working with our hands here. Alright, so now we have that off. Just move this to the side. Then we should be able to actually get up underneath this carpet a little bit easier. You might have to pull this back just a bit. We can expose this carpet. Then once you do have your carpet exposed, you can actually take your wire again for you. Actually make sure it's tucked in there. And the actual exposed wire is going to actually be tucked underneath the carpet. We'll run it back through. Pick these side pieces up underneath the carpet. And up with the actual factory chassis harness. And there's going to be a grommet we're going to show you. It's going to be actually up in the fender well over here. We're going to shove this little connector through that grommet, and then we're going to feed it up through the fender up into the engine bay, and we'll get to that next step for you right now for you. Next step you guys want to do is actually take this fender liner out here. It's going to be a few screws here. And there should be a couple of them. We're going to take this off, and then we're actually going to see the grommet behind this that's going to the firewall into the actual wheel well. And you'll see that when we do that for you.
Alright guys, now that we have the fender liner off, we have exposed this grommet from the firewall. Goes inside the cabin into the fender well. Ours has been cut up already, so it's going to be a little easier for us, but you will have to slit this grommet with a razor blade to push the plug through. And we're going to show you how to run that wire now. It's going to come through the chassis, right through the firewall. It's going to come right out into the engine bay.
Alright, so we're going to take our power wire through this grommet right here. As you can see, you're going to push it through, and it's going to end up on the other side of the firewall, and we're going to show you how it's going to come out.
Alright guys, we applied a slit to our gasket, got the plug pushed through the firewall into the fender well. Now we're going to route our plug up through the fender well into the engine bay through this triangular hole right here.
So now we've got the plug through the grommet and through the triangular hole from the wheel well. Now we have our connector that's going to come out right here, and then we already have ours mounted, but this is going to be a 10 mil bolt. It's going to be the bracket for the factory fuse and relay box. The harness is actually going to get run, I'm going to see if I can let you see. It's going to get run underneath the factory resistor box that should be right here. Our car that we're doing the example on doesn't have one, so it's going to go underneath it, around the shock tower. It's going to come up underneath the booster, and then here's the connector for it. This is going to be the engine bay part of our harness, and then it's actually going to get connected to the other connector. I have another example to show you basically how it's going to get ran. So the fuse is going to be mounted to here. This is going to be the connector for the back of the alternator, which is going to be a 10 mil nut on a stud. This goes right over that. And then this wire is going to be the one that gets wrapped underneath the relay box, around the shock tower, around everything else under this, and it's going to come up right here, like I said. Alright you guys, so now we're back in the trunk of the car again. We have ran the power wire from the alternator through the interior back to the relay, and then now we're going to actually connect these connectors, use this factory grommet, and we're going to actually cut a hole in this grommet for you, just so we can show you guys how you should do it as well. You want to cut a little hole, and then you also want to cut a slit in the grommet so you can actually slide the loom in between it, and we're going to actually run it through the factory location for you. So I got Mike here cutting a little hole in this grommet. You can cut it however way you want to. You could use a razor blade, you could use, if you have scissors and that's the easiest way for you, you could do that, but there you are, you can see that. Now we have a nice hole there, so now we're going to cut a little slit right this way through the grommet. Yep. Alright, so now that we have the grommet cut and the wires are ran through the grommet, take note that this is going to be the factory connector. You can see that there's going to be a black with a yellow stripe wire. This is going to be the connector that you pulled off the top of the fuel hat here. We're going to take this wire, and then we're going to take our harness that has the yellow single wire to it. We're going to plug that in right to there, and then we're going to take our blue and black wire, and this is going to go where we actually pulled the other connector off. Next thing you want to do is you want to actually stuff this factory harness right inside there, and then we're going to have this still connected. And then you can see it shouldn't fight you at all, but you should be able to put the actual hat back on it. There you go, everything still lines up. Now we're just going to take the actual screws here, screw these boys back in. And there you go, it's nice and clean. It's going to still run with this harness, it's still going to run with the factory harness. And we're actually going to include some zip ties with our kit as well. We're going to actually make it so you can actually tuck it with the actual factory loom that runs with everything else in the trunk. And then everything, all the interior pieces will just go right back in after you zip tied everything. And it'll look like you don't even have it there. Test with a stock GTR fuel setup. We're going to do the voltage test right now for you on a stock pump without our kit. We're going to 6.67 volts, and we're going to show you what we're going to get with our kit when you install it. So now we're back over to Jeff's car where we had installed the hardwire fuel pump relay. As you can see on the voltage, we're actually running 12.6 to about 12.7 volts. Much bigger difference than a stock fuel pump setup. As you can see, this is going to stay consistently at 12.7 volts, and that's what we're looking for. Alright you guys, so there you have it, the PPR hardwire fuel pump kit. Honestly, Mike, what do you think? That was pretty easy to install, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, perfect. So honestly, this is going to be the easiest and best way for you to get constant 12 volt power to your fuel pump. So yeah, you guys, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, Mike. Have a good one.